Alright everyone, I thought that I would weigh in on my thoughts on Biden begging for $30 million from his fans. Supposedly, he's clinched the election. He's already won, according to him himself and everyone around him. He's ironclad. There's no possibility that Trump can do anything to stop him because he was declared the victor by, I don't know, MSNBC and Fox, I guess. Fox calling Arizona first, which was hilarious, and then browbeating Trump, trying to get him to concede, despite the fact that no legitimate authoritative source has actually called the election at all. It's funny, Google and others now list little warnings on an election-related video too, saying the same thing. The race has been called for Joe Biden. By who? Link to a source. Fox News. Be really funny if Silicon Valley partnered with them. They basically already have. But here's the thing. If the deep staters, if Biden babies, Beijing Biden, and Kamala and all of these others, if they weren't worried that there was a possibility of Trump pulling off a legal victory because of a combination of recounts, fraud, potentially judicial decision-making, if they didn't have a legitimate concern that that was the case, why would they be asking for $30 million when they've already fucking declared victory a week ago? The answer is, of course, they wouldn't. This would be a perfect opportunity if they weren't worried at all for Biden to grandstand. He could just sit there and he could say, look, he lost, it's sour grapes, this is Don being orange drumpfler, he's a pissant, basically. He could browbeat him, and he'd come out smelling like a rose doing that. But here's the thing, he doesn't want to do that. He'll say very little about the issue. They'll just pretend that Joe Biden has already been elected, which he hasn't. There's no office of the president-elect. I'll be going into that in my third video of the day, and it doesn't exist. He has not been duly elected at this time. MSNBC and CNN and Fox and all of these others can call the race all they want. They could call it for Goebbels. They could call it for Mickey Mouse. It doesn't make it legally binding. It's just basically like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's supposed last words were, oh, please don't let me get replaced by Trump or something to that effect. Well, that's not legally binding even if I assume it's true, and trust me, I don't believe that story as far as I can throw it. Why would you beg for $30 million? There's a drop in the bucket compared to what he got during the election anyway, if you weren't afraid. No, he would use it. He's not. We got to understand something. Biden may have early stage Alzheimer's, but both Biden and the people around him, strategically speaking, at least have some degree of understanding. That's why he didn't decide to come out on stage and say, oh yeah, I'm in support of the New Green Deal. No, instead he said, no, I'm not really, but it's on his campaign website, in order to fool the moderates into voting for him, thinking that he's not going to throw trillions of dollars at bullshit that's actually globalism disguised as environmentalism, which is largely what's happening these days. No, you wouldn't beg for that money. You wouldn't even bother to lawyer up. He would roll his eyes, basically. If he were strategically smart and he had no worry that there was a possibility of Trump managing to pull this off, what he would do is he would come out on stage. He'd say, oh, did you hear about Don over there? Oh, that orange man, he just can't let go. He can't understand. Donald Trump, you're fired. He'd roll his eyes. He'd have Kamala come out and do sarcastic toe-tapping, bracelet-jingling HR soccer mom things and make sarcastic jabs about him, say, oh, he's lost, oh, he's just sad because there's a woman of color back in the White House, or something like that. They'd grandstand politically. Biden's fans would eat it up, and the independents, by and large, would break for Biden in such a situation. But he is worried. They are worried. That's why they're doing this. Do you think that they want to do an end run after the election is already over for more than a week? Oh, by the way, please give us $30 million more so that we can lawyer up and defend ourselves in court against evil Drumpfler. What's he going to do if he has no case? The legacy media spent the last 6 days telling me there's no case, no significant fraud, judges are breaking away from Trump, his lawyers are abandoning him, the wheels are falling off. He's basically a sad, lonely man with nobody around him that believes in him. They had these lurid reports about Melania filing for divorce, Jared Kushner pressuring him to succeed, and all of these things. And none of them are true. They're worried. It's afraid. And it's very funny to see because, again, the perception of the Biden baby public, the soccer mom America normies, will be, well, Biden's already won, and it's, Trump is basically having a Trumper tantrum. That's what they call it. But the reality behind the scenes is a little bit different, and their actions belie that fact. The fact that the legacy media has injected the term coup into the election in the last 48 hours, The fact that they're lawyering up still, the fact that Biden's people are still litigating, the fact that by and large there's been no actual declaration of victory from the Biden camp in the most explicit sense anyway. Plenty of his surrogates have said, well, he's won, got over it. And he has the dumb sign behind him, Office of the President-elect, in order to try to impose a false perception of some sort of elected authority on the people that are watching at home, which is usually like 10 of them. Dude, nobody cares what Biden has to say. More people, everyone's paying attention to Trump. It's the same thing as it has been for the last 4 years. Everyone's paying attention to Trump right now. Oh my God, what's he going to do next? If he goes golfing, if he's nonchalant and does nothing, he must be thinking of some sort of coup plot. If he says something evil, Russia, Orange Man bad, it's hilarious to see people's brains so scrambled on this issue. But you wouldn't beg for money, especially when you have the money on hand. It's not like Biden is incapable of mounting a fucking legal defense. To the tune of $30 million in national politics, unfortunately, that's a drop in the bucket. These days, it's multi-billion-dollar campaigns that elect presidents anyway because of Citizens United. You've got all of Wall Street, every big bankster, most large corporations, all of Silicon Valley, most of the Forbes 500 and all of the others, Fortune 500 people, all behind Biden. You think that he really needs money from grassroots donors to fight supposedly doomed legal battles? No. But he wants to make it clear to people that he's still fighting legal battles, because he knows that the fight is not over. He knows that there's a chance that Pennsylvania is now in limbo. All of these states you've got 2 recount states, you've got allegations of systemic problems in Michigan, Pennsylvania's in limbo, Arizona supposedly called but being litigated. And come on, dude, at some point you've got to understand this election has not ended yet. And that'll bring us to our third video of the day with this bullshit about Biden supposedly having been elected. Well, I think you'll find legally it's a little bit of a different case. That's about all. Peace out.